Hi there, welcome to the Contemplate Show. In this show, try to answer life people's questions in the best way possible to help you achieve your goals. I have with me today Dr. Remi Akinbode, Kehinde, who will shed light on a very interesting topic, and that topic is, are you being taken on a ride? By the end of this episode, you will know whether you've been taken or not. You have tools to equip you to make sure you're not taken for a ride. I'd like to introduce our guest today, Dr. Remi. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So today, we from the introduction, you can see that the topic is quite it's a dicey one and sensitive one. So we'd like to know your perspective on this topic. Are you being taken for a ride?
Being taken for a ride is a thought-provoking question I think we all need to ask ourselves. So this can also explore the thin line between helping and also being taken advantage of. And you can also ask, are you being disrespected or are you being exploited? So it's very vital for us to ask ourselves these questions, either at the workplace or in any of our relationships.
Yes, it's quite interesting because a lot of people find themselves in this situation and it's really hard to really get out. Or some people may feel that discomfort, but they're unsure how to go about it. Can you just break down what transpires when you have two people and one is kind of taking the other person for a ride? What does that look like?
I think it's very important right from the onset, to set expectations. And it's also very important to differentiate between helping and enabling. When you help someone, you are inspiring them to be better. You are making them, to be able to be independent. You are giving them skills that they might need to improve themselves. But when you enable someone, you are doing for the person what the person ought to do for themselves. And thereby you are creating a kind of dependence relationship where the person becomes dependent on you. And that can, lead to this, what we're saying, that you're being taken for a ride or being taken for granted.
Now, the thing is that the person helping has a very good intention to get that person out of that problem. Yeah. But it seems to me that it's a bit of confusion. So where do you draw the line between being dependable and, assisting and enabling?
Yes, so when you're assisting someone, you're doing it with the aim that the person should become independent and should be able to help themselves. So for example, rather than maybe you giving someone money all the time, you can help them to get skills for them to be independent or help them to get a job so that they can be financially independent. But when you are enabling them, you can just keep giving them money, even if they are irresponsible with the money and they keep coming back to you. And they can even guilt trip you and you feel bad if you refuse to give them money. So that's where you draw the line. When you look at the repeated pattern of behavior of someone coming back to you, I'm just using money as an example. It could be, any other thing. So, we have to draw that line. We have to make sure that we set boundaries.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Well, so at what stage, like you said, you need to draw the line? For instance, you have, there was at least, someone was talking to me, has been helping me 2 decades. Nothing's like investment, giving things to do. The person always comes. So, what is the problem? How come the help is not, efficient? Like the help is not working?
Well, there could be several reasons for that, just depending on the particular situation. But there are some people that don't just want to take responsibility for their life. they just want to depend on somebody else, for whatever, maybe sustenance, for money and all that. So there could be several reasons why maybe that help is not enough. I'm not sure what's going on in that particular case, but some people will never want to take steps, to improve themselves. They never want to take steps to get better. Once they have a source of maybe money, for instance, they just want that to keep going. So if that pattern continues and you find out that this is repeated, this person is not going to take steps to improve themselves, then those are time to, it's time for you to set the boundary, and it's time for you to start saying no.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So how do you enlighten people to know when to start drawing the line? So what are the symptoms?
Well, like I mentioned before, if it's becoming a repeated pattern, in the person who is not willing to take responsibility for their life, a person who is not willing to make changes. For example, maybe if there's someone, maybe you have a relative or that is always drinking alcohol and always asking you for money, and the money doesn't, last for a long time, and it keeps coming back to you. It gets to a stage where you have to say no. You've got to address this drinking problem. So I'm just using this as an example. It could be any other thing. So, and you need to stop giving him money because you're just enabling him. You're not making him to be independent. You are not inspiring him to be better. So we repeated episodes, and with people not willing to take responsibility, not willing to take action, then you should know that it's time, to set boundaries and time to say no.
That seems to be very interesting. So how do you play around guilt? Because guilt sometimes can be one of the things that people even pulls them back, even when they know that at this point, I think you should be well off, you should be on your feet right now. So how do people go around guilt? Feeling bad if they want mates, or just thinking about their name and family and all of that.
Yeah, it's very common, for people to feel guilt, and even some maybe friends or relatives might even make you, feel guilty for not helping. But you might get to a stage, if you are emotionally stressed or you are emotionally strained, that you've got to take a break. You've got to step back and you have to analyze the situation. And sometimes you can't help everyone. That's just the truth. And not every situation can be saved. So sometimes it might just be best to walk away. And you need to work on that, those thoughts of feeling guilty, that you've actually done your best for them. But some people cannot be helped.
While you were talking, I just remembered it was a sibling, like a family, where one of them was overseas. And, he was kind of carrying all the weight to the family. And one of the siblings said, one of the siblings was feeling bad, like, what's happening? Are you not going to assist? Are you not going to help? And he's like, I'm doing the best I can. I'm sending what I can.
Yeah.
And the sibling said, if it's not working there, why not come back so another person will go? It's like...
Yeah, that's very common. Very common when you have relatives abroad and people.
Yeah, so that's your insight is quite a good one to just help people who are kind of struggling with this. Another question I have is, what if you have two friends? One was well doing, and then the other one didn't have anything, and then life hits, and the one that was not doing anything now started doing well, and it's really hard, and that person is remembering, oh, you once stayed in my house, or all the help the person was offering. So I understand that you're saying you need to draw the line, but how do we overcome that struggle? Because I think it's a big struggle when you look at someone and you say, hey, enough is enough.
I guess you have to analyze the situation. If, like I said, if the person is not willing to take responsibility, not willing to make steps to change, like you said, life does happen to people and people need help. So genuinely they might need help. Yes, it's okay to help. It's okay to help them. But if it's a case of a person not taking responsibility, maybe not wanting to make changes, not wanting to take steps to improve themselves, and just wanting to fall back on you, then it's okay to say no, and you just have to tell yourself you don't have to feel guilty for not helping. But if it's a genuine need, like some people lose their job for no reasons, or some people are in really need their needs, yes, it's good to help. But we are talking about repeated, patterns of people coming for help, always wanting one thing or the other, always in need, and not making changes over years.
So I think the key, a key point there is repeated action.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we notice that trend, that it comes the first time, comes the second time, comes the third time, and you're feeling that discomfort. Because the truth is that some people actually go and borrow because they don't even have. Because they're worried, they're afraid of the image, the emotional sabotage, the blackmail. What do you have to say to people like that?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
I want to say is that it's quite a struggle. What would you say to people who sometimes will have to go and borrow because they don't have, just in order to protect their name, to avoid that emotional sabotage, blackmail? What do you have to say to people like that?
Well, I think when you are helping someone, it should be mutual, it should be respectful, and it should be convenient for you. If you're having to go and borrow money to help someone, then there is a big problem there. So you need to step back, and it's time to set boundaries. It's time for you to learn to say no. I don't even imagine you borrowing money, except it's a case of life and death. Maybe someone is very sick or is in hospital and maybe needs money. Maybe, yes, you could borrow to help them if you don't have. But if maybe you just want to give this person money and you're going to borrow, then no. You have to step back, and then, because that's becoming a case of dependence, making the person dependent on you, and you are not actually helping them, you are enabling them.
Okay, so this is another question. The people who are kind of dependent, who are repeated, I don't know what I want to call it, but people who come back every now and then and they need help, they tend to always come with an emotional story. So how do you go past that while you're drawing the line? Because there's always something that is very urgent about the hospital. It's a lot of stories being fabricated. It makes you inhumane. So how do you handle it?
Well, you've got to analyze the situation very well, and if possible, make some checks. But of course, you can't always check to see if their story is true or not. But you've got to know that you can't help everybody. You can't. You're not a savior. God or Jesus is the savior. You can't save everyone. So if it's someone who is doing it repeatedly, and you see that there's a pattern of maybe deception or lies there, then it's okay to step back and say no. That conversation might be difficult, but it gets to a stage where you have to stand up and say no. You're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think I had my own fair share of that, because I feel bad. Like, there's always one story, it's always urgent, it's always, at a stage I had to, kind of just say to myself, see, I cannot take this any longer. I'm trying to put my feet on the floor and stand.
Yeah.
So I'm also just trying to make something work for itself. But, you keep getting these calls and messages. And, it feels like you can't even sleep. Well, you have your problems, so then you have to add other problems.
Yeah.
But like you said, I've had to sit down in the stillness. I can't. Again, I can't help everyone.
Yes.
You can't help everyone. In as much as you want the good name, you can keep giving. The day you don't give because you don't have, then the name you're trying to protect or whatever you're trying to do just goes down the drain.
Yeah.
So I like what you said, which is quite achievable, and people can actually apply that in their day-to-day lives. When they receive these phone calls, when they get these text messages, they are well equipped, with patterns and more. I'd like to ask you another question. So, how do people, disconnect from emotional stories and have to sleep at night like guilt-free and with a clean conscience?
Well, I think it all comes down to setting boundaries. And like we said, there is no one answer fits all. We've got to deal each individual case, just based on the specific characteristics of that case. So you cannot say you're going to say no to everybody. I know some people that will say no, I'm not giving anybody money. No, we've got to sort of balance things up. Some people might need help. Yes, genuine help, you could help them. But if it's repeated pattern of somebody now becoming dependent on you, now so you shouldn't continue to enable them. And then it's time to set boundaries. So set boundaries, and you need to have that conversation with them that no, you can't continue doing that all the time. But like I said, you've got to treat each individual case, on its own merit.
That's really very insightful. I'd like you to touch on entitlement, and that's how I feel some people are being taken for a ride unknowingly. Can you just elaborate on what is entitlement syndrome, if you call it?
Yeah. I think the entitlement syndrome, we can say when someone expects help and they think it's a right. They think it's their right that you've got to help me. They think that, yes, you just have to help them. They then we can say that they're feeling sort of entitled, and that can lead to exhaustion. That can lead to emotional stress for you yourself. So once it's getting to that sense where a person feels entitled, it keeps coming back over and over again, and keeps thinking that, yes, you just got to help me. Then you have to get to a stage where you draw the boundary, and you've got to learn to say no. So it's a case, maybe for example, now let's use a case of a man who you've tried to help him get a job, and he wouldn't stay longer at the job. It doesn't last longer, and he keeps coming back to you, say, you have to give me money, you have to give me money. Or you're trying to help him to say, okay, go and get some skills so that you can get a job, and he doesn't want to do it. Then you've got to draw the line. So you've got to set boundaries to say, no, we can't do this anymore. Otherwise, you're going to become emotionally stressed, and at the end of the day, you're just going to be drained yourself, and then you haven't helped him. You've just enabled him to become more dependent on you. So like I said initially, that helping someone should make them better. It should empower them. You should inspire them to become better versions of themselves, not to become dependent on you.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So what I'm hearing is drawing the line has its own cross, because drawing the line, are you saying that if it means the relationship of maybe 25 or 30 years is going to go down the drain, that you should be ready to embrace the impact? Is that the first statement?
Well, if it has come to that stage, if the person is becoming dependent on you and you are becoming emotionally stressed, then of course it's time to step back. It's time for you to analyze yourself. You need to take care of yourself first. So if you are becoming emotionally strained and you're becoming exhausted, with that relationship, then it's time for you to step back, because not all relationships can be saved. Even if you've been together for many years, then at the end of the day, you're not helping the person. This person keeps coming back to you over and over again. You're not helping the person. You're just making them, dependent.
So now, if the relationship is on the line, and the person looks you in the eye, or it's a phone call, and the person is saying, you that I once helped, this life. Remember, I helped you when you didn't have. Now I'm coming to you. You think it's easy for me to come every time because you are my brother or friend or sister or whatever. Are you saying that when it gets to that, you should put at the back of your mind that this might just be the end of the relationship. This is either you go forward and keep doing that and having that emotional stress, or you just say, see, I've helped you the way I can. I don't have. But go and borrow. I can't borrow. I also have bills. I have things to do. So is that a fair statement that sometimes a relationship is pushed to the brink where you need to draw that boundary, and that boundary will come with side effects. Possibly the person is crying at the end of the phone saying that, wow, so you are the one turning your back at me now. So are you saying that if it comes to that, you're willing to let the relationship go?
Well, just to clarify, are you saying this is somebody that has helped you previously before and is now maybe in a bit of a tight, has lost their job or something for that? Is that the situation you were saying?
No, so this person now falls, within that repeated, there's always one story. There's always one thing, the other, there's always one thing. You've been helping. And I'm just listening to what you're saying. And it's like we need to draw the boundary. So where's the boundary going to come? When you say I'm not giving you again, then you have to face the consequences. It might be, as a result of, the relationship might be on the line, the family might be on the line, or a lot of things. But the way you've broken these things down, I'm trying to really assess, because some of our viewers may be in this situation and they're trying to say, okay, so what if the relationship comes to a point where is either the person has strong anger, is either you're going forward to continue, or you're going to stop and say, hey, and come take whatever consequences, which might be, don't call me again in this life. And the person maybe blocks you or whatever, and the person has that grievance. So are you saying that whilst drawing the line, you, like I said, you analyze, you look at the whole thing, but sometimes the relationship might be on the line. Are you saying you should still go ahead?
So like I said, there's no one answer fits all. So in this case, are we talking about a person who just finds himself in a difficult season of their life and is trying to make changes, is trying to improve, maybe is just unable to find a job? Or are we talking of somebody who is irresponsible, somebody who doesn't want to get a job, who doesn't want to learn skills?
Exactly.
We need to differentiate. Like I said, some people are in need, they might need something, they might be in genuine need, they might be in a difficult season of their life. We have to help such people. But we are talking about people who are irresponsible, people who are feeling entitled and not wanting to make changes. So these are the ones we are saying that no, you have to set boundaries.
Yeah, those are the people, who do not really want to be part of their rescue. You're trying to lift them up. Yeah. It's like you're pushing a manual car to start, and it doesn't want to start. It's like, well, you guys are pushing me, so I might just, relax and do what's able. They sleep, they waste the funds, they have been given, things like that. I'm saying that for such a person who is in that situation, whilst drawing that boundary, if the relationship is going to be on the line, I think it would be a fair assessment to say they should still go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Not all relationships can be saved, and it's okay to say no to toxic demands, even if they are friends or even if they are close family members. Because at the end of the day, you're just going to be emotionally drained and you're going to be exhausted yourself, and you wouldn't have helped the person. So in this situation that you are describing, then it's okay to say no, even if it affects the relationship. Not all relationships can be saved anyway.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, because you don't want to die in the name of helping someone. Yeah. You need to be able to know how to swim. Yeah. Before you go and rescue someone who is drowning. And
reminds me of sorry to interrupt. Reminds me of what one pastor said. He said, "You are not El Shaddai. only God is El Shaddai. But if you think you want to be able to help everybody, then you shall die. It was quite funny, but yeah, that just reminds me that no, we are not a savior. We are not El Shaddai.
Yeah. So I think that's a very good perspective, because a lot of people, they go through this and they do things that normally they wouldn't do, but because of pressure, there's pressure here, family, friends, or being from day one, cousins, relatives, constantly pushing them, stronger arming them. They want to help them, they're feeling guilt. Like, now, is it because nobody knows tomorrow, and because of that, you feel armless. You can't draw the line because you're feeling guilt. So I like your perspective in terms of, look at the situation, see if this person is serious. If he's not serious, then just say, hey, well, this is what I can do. Alright, welcome back to the Contemplate show. This is episode 3, and we've had Dr. Remi. She's been taking us on a journey on how not to be taken for a ride. Thank you, Dr. Remi, for your time, and welcome again after the break.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we just want to touch on, I know before the break we were talking about a lot of things, analysis, boundaries, and ways in which we can detect people who are really taking us for a ride and how to mitigate those. Now we want to touch on people living above their means. That means they want a better life, or they want to live a higher life, and they borrow from you, and they want to use that for, I don't know, whatsoever reason, just for status and all that. So are they taking you for your ride when they come to borrow to live above their means?
Yeah, definitely. When people live above their means and they're still coming to ask you for money and you keep giving them, then you're taking them they're taking you for a ride, and you are actually enabling them. And I think one common thing, which is very common in our society, is this case of parties and Ashwebi. People spend a lot of money on all these things, which, it's not really so important. And they will even go and ask you, oh, can you send me money? Can you send me this? And things like that. And they're saying, oh, I don't have money to eat. But then you see people on social media wearing expensive clothes, expensive party clothes, and you're wondering, no, it's not just right. So when people spend above their means and you keep giving them, then you are enabling them to continue in that, habit of wastefulness. So those are the kind of people that, yes, it's okay to draw a boundary. It's okay for you to say, no, I'm not going to give you this money or whatever help you're sort of giving to them, unless they make changes. And if you can help them maybe get some resources, some people don't have the skills of how to manage their money. If you can help them, there are a lot of resources online to get resources of how to manage their money. You don't have to keep eating out. You don't have to take Ashwebi for everyone. You don't have to buy coffee every day. Sometimes some people need those little skills that you think people should know. If you can help them to get some financial maybe knowledge, and they are happy to do that, then yes, help them. But by no means stop enabling them by giving them money to continue to live above their means.
That's a very interesting aspect you touched on, especially while we're talking now. Why do you think, in your experience, why do you think people derive that need to, I don't know, is it to raise their status at the detriment of someone? It's not investment, it's not like work or something like that has to do with moving them forward. This is just for vanity, if you call it, taking trips, holiday, taking photos on somebody's would have coined an emotional story and So why are people driven by society? Why are they not able to think and say, you know what, it's not time for me to do this. It's not wise to inconvenience someone for something that's just damaging.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to impress others. These days of social media, everyone is, putting pictures on, wanting to do it for likes, wanting to do it for popularity. So maybe people want to impress other people. They want to feel among. They want other people to think that they have arrived, so to say, in that term. So that's why some people, will go out of their way to borrow money to sort of, look as if, yes, they are living the life. I think this is on social media as well, and impressing people is playing a major role in that.
When you arrive, you're not meant to arrive by yourself.
Yeah.
You arrive at the back of, pushing people, inconveniencing them. Not once, twice, but 3 times to spread continuously. And something you said about the society, I think is really important, that people should really think for themselves and know that you can just the way you're going. You don't want yourself to inconvenience. You don't inconvenience others, especially for just vanity. Yeah, I think that's a good one. Thank you. I still have 3 more questions, and then we'll let you go. Now, I'll give you a case study. So you have a lady who probably, is in her mid 30s, and she's probably having a guy trying to talk to her. They want to have something going, and she's helping the guy, and she doesn't want to lose the relationship. But the guy is coming all the time. It's every time. It's always in me. It's always in me. It's always in me. So how? I know this is Valentine week, but I just feel like it would be good to chip it in there. How do she go about saying, "Hey, I know I love this guy, but then there's something about his behavior that it's somehow." So how does she draw the line when it's mixed emotions?
Well, it can be quite difficult, especially if the girl is really in love with the person. But she needs to analyze the situation. Is the guy just having a difficult time? Is it that maybe he's unable to get a job, or is he making attempts to get a job, or is just the type that just wants to be dependent on the girl? Because helping someone should be mutual, should be respectful. And if it's somebody you're going to spend your life with, then you want the person to also be able to reciprocate some of the things you're doing as well. Unless if it's just that it's just a difficult season in his life and he's making attempts to make things better. But if it's just someone who is dependent on you, so it's still going to be the same thing, whether this is a romantic relationship or whether just a family relationship. It's still the same, the same principles that has to be applied. So the lady has to analyze the situation, step back, take a break, analyze the situation. Is this repeated pattern just going on and on? Is this person just having a difficult time in his life? Or this is just a continuous cycle, that is coming on and off like a parasitic relationship? If it is, then she has to step away from the relationship. It might be difficult, but if it's just the case of a genuine guy who is having difficulty and just asking for help, maybe sometimes maybe he's trying to get his feet, he's trying to get a job, or he's trying to maybe start a business and he's having difficulty, then that's sort of a bit of a separate situation as well.
So it will be fair to say if it's the same thing that the lady is coming to the guy all the time, she's always in need, the guy should be able to analyze the situation and say, hey, I want a woman who can be able to stand on her feet, and not today you're in this party, or next tomorrow you're in this party, or
Yes.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I say, yeah, definitely. If it's the other way around as well, like some girls would get bone straight hair, 500,000, and they don't even have a job. Can you imagine? They will say, oh, they want to buy a show, be 200, 300, and they don't have a job then. If that's the case, that is the girl that is also making demand, then it's time for the guy to set boundaries, because you don't want to go into a lifelong relationship with that kind of person.
So your suggestion is they should look at it, and if it means calling it off, they should. What's your take? Yeah, the second question. What's your take on the lady saying, well, I am the table, so after all, he needs to be the man, and she doesn't see anything wrong with it. What's your take on that?
Oh yes, I know there's this saying that they say, what do you bring to the table? And the ladies are saying they are at the table now. But actually, the relationship should be both. It should be mutual and respectful. Both, the man and the woman, or the boy and the girl, should be able to, help each other and like give things to each other. So for a lady to say, I'm the table, and not wanting to make contribution to the relationship, then it still bothers on the individual. You analyzing the situation and just knowing that is this emotionally draining for you? Is it emotionally exhausting, or are you willing to go ahead with the relationship?
And vice versa.
And vice versa. So I think yes, it sort of works both ways. Yeah.
So this is the last question. Thank you, Dr. Remi, for the time. I know it's super busy, and we do really appreciate it. This is the last question.
Thank you.
Now, what would you say to people who are not receiving this pressure from friends, cousins, siblings, relatives? They're receiving it directly from their parents. That's a huge one. So, where do they go from there?
So that might be a bit of a difficult one. But are the parents asking for this help? Is it just for them to sustain themselves? Like, is it for feeding allowance, or because of course you have to look after their parents when they are in their old age. I mean, after your parents in their old age, because they've invested in you anyway. Unless if it's getting to the other end, the extreme as well.
Yeah, so this is not like, okay, monthly upkeep or needs. It's just they feel it's time for them to reap what they've sown, and they want to keep that status, and kind of belong. And in order to do that, it's gonna, again, the parties and being in certain places that you shouldn't stress other people to be. So now this is the pressure that's coming from the parents. But what would be, how can they walk on those eggshells, those kind of waters?
Well, I think for the parents, you need to also sit back and analyze as well. If their needs are genuine, then you should, go ahead and, give it to them. But if it's a case of parents also spending money on maybe ashwebi, on parties and things like that, then it's okay to say no. It's okay to have that difficult conversation with them and tell them, this is what you can expect from me. I'm going to be able to give you money to feed. I'm going to be able to do this for you, but for these ones, I'm not going to be able to do it. It might be a difficult situation, but it's okay for you to, tell them that yes, I can help you in this way. I can help you in this way, but no, I won't be able to do that. I heard about the case of someone, the father married a younger woman and started having younger children and was expecting, the child to start taking care of them. We're like, no, that's your call. You went to, you had older children and then married a younger lady and started having you, and was expecting the older ones to be training no, we look after you, but those other children, those are your, so it's okay to say no for such cases, but we've got to analyze. We've got to weigh the case, case by case, and see what you're going to do and what you're not comfortable doing.
Yeah, those type of discussions, they are very, very, very emotional, very tense, especially with friends, family members, siblings, cousins. It's quite hard. But with parents, especially some parents are quite manipulative. You have people working 3-4 jobs because it's beyond the needs now. It's just extra needs. Like you're saying, they need to have on the back of someone. And then you find the kids going into things they're not meant to go because the turnover needs to be quick and it's always urgent. With these guys, it's always, the people taking you for a ride, it's always, it's always urgent. Can I have this urgent? Can I get this urgent amount of cash? It's always urgent. So, if I understand you correctly, you're saying, still look at the situation. It's okay to say, look, I don't have anywhere else to get money. This is what I earn. And this is what I've spent to you. I don't know what else you want me to do. I can't borrow, I can't do anything. It's quite a hard conversation, like you said. I wouldn't, you would expect that parents to, make things, be understanding, make things easy for you. But some parents will push. I find people going into things, having issues with law enforcement because there's pressure from the parents to be able to be, certain about. Those were the questions, and the last set of questions I have for you. And thank you very much, Dr. Remi. What we do at the end of the show like this, we give us a recap, just a sentence, just that nugget that will help someone, in this kind of situation. And then, we just recommend any books or anything, just the final word.
Yeah, so the final word is that helping people should be mutual, should be respectful, and it should be convenient for you. And there's a difference between helping and enabling. When you help people, you should inspire them. You should empower them to become independent, empower them to become better versions of themselves. When you enable people, you are making them become dependent on you. And don't forget, it's okay to say no. It's okay to have boundaries. Boundaries are necessary to protect you. Boundaries are necessary, for yourself, for your own self-respect and emotional balance. And it's okay to step away from relationship that drains you. So make sure you take care of your emotional health. Make sure you take care of your mental health while helping people.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Remi. This is the end of this third episode. And thank you, viewers. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you have any topic you want us to treat, just put it in the comment section. That'll be all from me today. I'm your host, Kehinde, and bye for now.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.